Hello everyone and welcome back to Explore Engineering. In today's video, we are going to explore the fascinating world of Indian literature, one of the oldest and richest literary traditions in human history. We'll discover the timeless wisdom of the Vedas, understand the significance of Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda and Atharva Veda, and learn how these sacred texts shaped India's religion, philosophy, science, literature, and culture. So let's begin this inspiring journey into the roots of Indian knowledge and heritage. So here you can see the overview of Indian literature, which is one of the oldest and most diverse literary traditions in the world. Here Indian literature has been highlighted that it has evolved over thousands of years and reflects the cultural philosophy, then religion, science, history, and values of Indian civilization. So here you can see the ancient manuscripts on the palm leaf. That is, the texts are written on the palm leaf here. Then you can see the scholars, which symbolizes the which symbolize how knowledge was first preserved through oral traditions and later recorded in the written form. Okay, here. Now you can see the major branches of the Indian literature. That is the Indian literary heritage. It is broadly divided into Vedic literature, then Upanishads, epics, Puranas, classical Sanskrit literature, and the regional literature. Now, each branch represents a unique contribution to India's intellectual, spiritual, and cultural development. Now here you can see the visuals. These all are the visuals of these literary traditions. The Vedic literature forms the foundation of Indian knowledge through the four Vedas. The Upanishads focus on philosophical ideas such as the nature of the reality, the self, that is the Atma, then Brahman, and liberation, that is the moksha here. Then come the epics, including the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, which teach moral values, duty, and righteousness. Then we have Puranas, which preserve the historical narratives, religious teachings, and cultural traditions through inspiring stories. Next one is the classical Sanskrit literature, which represents the remarkable works of the great scholars and poets that enriched poetry, drama, and aesthetics. Finally, we have the regional literature, which reflects the India's linguistic diversity through works written in various Indian languages, preserving the traditions and cultural identity. So overall, we can see here that the Indian literature is a priceless treasure of knowledge that has preserved India's cultural, philosophical, religious, and scientific heritage for thousands of years. Its rich literary traditions continue to educate, inspire, and influence people across India and the world. Next comes the Vedic literature, which is the earliest form of the Indian literature and the foundation of Indian culture, philosophy, and spiritual knowledge. You can see here the explanation of the Vedic literature, which consists of the four Vedas and which contains hymns, prayers, rituals, and the philosophical teachings. Now, it also highlights that these sacred texts were composed in Sanskrit here, okay, and were preserved through the oral tradition before being written for many centuries. Now, here you can see the four Vedas, that is the Rig Veda, then Yajurveda, Samaveda, and the Atharva Veda. Rig Veda, it is one of the oldest Veda and contains hymns dedicated to various deities. Yajurveda, it provides the prayers and instructions for performing religious rituals and sacrifices. Then comes the Samaveda, which is known as the Veda of music, which arranges hymns for melodious chanting during religious ceremonies. And last is the Atharva Veda, which includes the hymns, healing prayers, and practical knowledge related to health and everyday life. So overall, we can see here that the Vedas are the foundations of Indian wisdom and civilization, and they preserve the spiritual teachings, moral values, and cultural traditions while providing valuable knowledge, which has influenced the Indian religion, then philosophy, literature, and society for thousands of years. Now we will see the four Vedas one by one. First is the Rig Veda. Here Rig Veda, it is one of the oldest and the most important of the four Vedas, and it is regarded as the earliest literary work. of ancient India. Now here, Rig Veda is the foundation of the Vedic literature and highlights its significance, contribution to the Indian religion, philosophy, and culture. Here you can see that you have there is a saint or a sage composing hymns, symbolizes the oral tradition through which the Rig Veda was preserved and passed down across the generations. Here you can see you have the main features of the Rig Veda. It explains here. Okay, these are the main features of the Rig Veda, and here it explains that the Rig Veda contains more than 1,000 hymns. Okay, dedicated to various deities or the various Vedic deities, and you can see the images of Agni, that is the god of fire, then Indra, the god of rain and thunder, and Varuna, the god associated with water and the cosmic order, represent some of the principal deities praised in its hymns. Now, these hymns express gratitude towards nature, seek divine blessings, and emphasize the close relationship between the humans and the divine. Now, here you can see that the importance of Rig Veda is been mentioned. That is, it states that the Rig Veda is the oldest literary work of India, and it serves as an invaluable source of information about early Vedic society, religious beliefs, customs, and cultural practices. And here you have the icons which represents the hymns, and then society, you have the religion, and nature reinforce these themes, and these illustrate the broad scope of knowledge contained in the text. So we can say that Rig Veda is a timeless repository of the spiritual wisdom and the cultural heritage, and it demonstrates how the Rig Veda, like here this image, it demonstrates how the Rig Veda not only preserves the ancient hymns and religious traditions, but also provides deep insights into the social, philosophical, and spiritual life of early Indian civilization, making it one of the most influential texts in the history of the world literature. Then comes the Yajurveda. So Yajurveda, it is again one of the 4 Vedas and is an important sacred text of the Vedic literature. It introduces the, like here this image, it introduces the Yajurveda as the Veda of rituals, which contains the prayers and detailed instructions for performing religious ceremonies and the sacrifices. Okay, now here you can see there is an illustration of the priests conducting a Vedic fire ritual, that is the yajna, symbolizing the practical purpose of the Yajurveda in guiding sacred ceremonies according to established traditions. Now here on the left side you can see the main features of Yajurveda. You can see that here the text contains the prayers and the instructions for performing the religious rituals and the sacrifices, and it also describes here the procedures followed by the priest during Vedic ceremonies, ensuring that each ritual is conducted correctly and with devotion. And another important teaching which is emphasized in this image is the importance of the discipline, duty, and the proper conduct. Okay, here. So these were considered essential qualities for individuals performing the religious and social responsibilities. Here you can see the importance of Yajurveda. It states that the Yajurveda served as a guidebook for conducting the Vedic rituals, okay, accurately. And here you can see the icons which represents the ritual performance, sacred instructions, and disciplined living, reinforcing the central themes of the text. So overall we can say that Yajurveda is a practical and spiritual guide that helped preserve the proper methods of worship and religious ceremonies. It not only provided detailed ritual procedures but also promoted values such as discipline, responsibility, and ethical conduct, making it an essential foundation for Vedic religion, then culture, and the tradition. Next comes the Samaveda. So Samaveda is again one of the most one of the 4 Vedas and an important part of the Vedic literature. Samaveda, it is the Veda of music, which emphasizes its unique role in the combining of spirituality with melody and the rhythm. And here this illustration you can see The sages are chanting Vedic hymns representing the traditional practice of singing the sacred verses during the religious ceremonies. And here the presence of the musical instrument and the musical notes. Okay, these symbolizes the close connection between the Samaveda and the Indian music. Now here you can see the main features of the Samaveda, where most of its verses are taken from the Rig Veda, and but they are arranged in a musical form to be sung during the Vedic rituals. And instead of simply reciting the hymns, priests chanted them using specific melodies and the rhythmic patterns. So the musical arrangement introduced melody and rhythm into the Vedic worship, and and it makes the religious ceremonies more devotional and spiritual uplifting. Here you can see the importance of the Samaveda. It states that the Samaveda laid the foundation for Indian classical music and devotional singing. And the accompanying icons here, these represent music. Then you have chanting of the chanting, then sacred text. Then you have worshipping and highlighting its lasting influence of the India's musical traditions. So we can say that Samaveda is a sacred text that united spirituality with music, and by introducing melodic chanting into the Vedic worship, it preserved religious traditions and inspired the development of Indian classical music, devotional songs, and rich cultural practices that continue to flourish today. Next, you have the fourth Veda, that is the Atharva Veda. So here, again, it is one of the four Vedas and an important source of practical and spiritual knowledge in ancient India. It introduces the Atharvaveda as the Veda of everyday life, emphasizing its unique focus on the well-being of the individuals and the society. You can see here a sage writing on a manuscript, which symbolizes the preservation and transmission of this valuable knowledge through generations. And these are the features of the Atharva Veda, where it is explained that the text, that hymns, prayers, healing methods, and knowledge are related to everyday life. And important subjects are discussed, such as the medicine, health, family, welfare, agriculture, and the protection from the diseases. Now, unlike the other Vedas, which primarily focus on the rituals and the worship, the Atharva Veda combines the spiritual and the practical aspects of the life, and that is, it combines the spiritual teachings and the practical guidance, and makes it highly relevant to daily life. So here you can see the themes through these themes are there, representing the medicine. Then you have family welfare, agriculture, protection from diseases, and spiritual practical life or the practices. And these visuals, okay, this show how the Atharva Veda addressed both the physical and the spiritual needs of the society. Here you can see the importance of the Atharva Veda, where it is shown that it provides a valuable information about the social life and the scientific knowledge, customs, medicine, agriculture, and scientific knowledge of ancient India. Okay, that is, here you have social life and customs, ancient medicine and healing knowledge, agriculture and environment knowledge, and last is the scientific thought and the practical wisdom. Now, here these accompanying icons reinforce its contribution to healthcare, environmental awareness, practical wisdom, and the community life. So overall, we can say that Atharva Veda is a comprehensive guide which combines the spiritual wisdom with practical knowledge, and it this Veda, it contributed to the development of medicine, agriculture, family welfare, and ethical living while preserving the cultural and the scientific heritage of ancient Indian civilization. Next comes the significance of the Vedic literature. Here, you can see that the Vedas contains the hymns praising the nature and the various deities, prayers for peace and prosperity, then rituals and sacrificial ceremonies, then philosophical ideas about life and the universe, and knowledge related to ethics, society, and spirituality. So these teachings form the foundation of an ancient Indian thought and guided both spiritual and the practical life. Here you can see ancient sage who is studying the Vedas, symbolizes the preservation and transmission of the sacred knowledge and sacred knowledge through the generations. And the surrounding images here, you have a family, then that is the family life, you have rituals, agriculture, and spiritual practices. And these represent the wide range of subjects which are covered in the Vedic texts. And here you can see that the Vedas forms the foundation of Indian knowledge, philosophy, literature, and the culture. So their teachings have influenced moral values, education, religious practices, and social traditions for thousands of years. Therefore, Vedic literature is a priceless source of knowledge which continues to inspire humanity with its spiritual wisdom, ethical principles, and cultural heritage. So, the Vedas, these are not just the ancient scriptures, they are the timeless treasures of the knowledge that continue to guide humanity with their teachings on wisdom, ethics, harmony, and spiritual growth. So, by studying the Indian literature, we gain a deeper understanding of our rich cultural heritage and the intellectual achievements of ancient India. I hope this video helped you appreciate the significance of the Vedas and their lasting influence on Indian civilization. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to Explore Engineering. And don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos on Indian knowledge system and engineering education. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep learning and keep exploring.